Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Choice Chats. This is a space to honor those. It's really a love letter to those who've made pivotal choices in their lives that led them to pivot with purpose. And today I am honored to have Angela Nguyen from the Leader Within podcast, which I had the pleasure of being a guest in a few months ago. Welcome, Angela.
Thank you for having me, Loren. I really appreciate it, and I love the work that you're doing.
Thank you. And I remember when we spoke, I'm excited about this episode because I really wanted to highlight your story. And I want you to share with our community today just a little bit about what that journey has been like.
For sure, thank you for creating a space for that. And for me, I've always had a squiggly line career, meaning I didn't grow up having a specific technical or hard skill that I could market and be like, I'm going to go be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, or accountant, right? Instead, I really had to figure out, okay, what are the skills that I can actually bring into this world that will help me in actually paying my bills? And unfortunately, but fortunately, I learned that it had to do with that human connection, building relationships, that curiosity piece. And I think it all stemmed from understanding that leader within, what we are capable of, and who do we need to kind of connect with to bring that out of us. And that's kind of part of the reason why I started the podcast series, The Leader Within, because I truly believe that to unleash our potential and others' potential, it starts with self leadership and then leadership in general. So yeah, that's kind of how I made a lot of my career and business related decisions, is understanding, okay, how do I make impact through connecting and supporting others?
That is such a beautiful story, right? I really want to highlight what really led you to that pivotal moment where you pivoted with purpose. What was it that really catapulted you to make that choice?
Yeah, and I think for me, it goes back to trying to lean into my strength of asking great questions. I know asking great questions, it can stem, like you can do that in any field, right? But there's just certain fields that actually help bring that out more, whether it's coaching in human resources, recruitment, right? That's a large part of what I did in my career. And then the other piece of it is solving problems, right? Because with asking questions, listening, there it gives me the ability to identify patterns and then propose a solution. And so that's kind of where, when I got laid off at the end of 2023, around there, I was like, what's the field that allows me to do that? Do I still want to do HR, or do I kind of want to go more into that consulting route? And I ultimately chose that consulting route because it's like, people pay you when they need a problem solved. They're not just going to pay you to come in and just sit there for fun, right? Because no one has that kind of money to drop, right? So that's kind of what allowed me to kind of lean into, okay, if great at asking questions, I love understanding what people are going through and then helping them get through that. I believe that consulting is a route that I can go down.
That is great how you combined the intuitive side behind asking powerful questions and problem solving. You don't hear that a lot. What was it about those those two and combining those two that really made a difference for you?
Yeah, so I've never been the smartest person in the room. I've never been like that smart or academically inclined from the perspective of, I'm not an A student. If anything, I'm a B student, sometimes a C student, depending on the subject. But what I realize that I'm really good at is understanding and unpacking, and then being able to then relay that to someone. So, like, quickly learning from that aspect, right? And I think that is ultimately what influenced me to dive into that a little bit deeper, because I realized that not everyone has the ability to unpack, and then turn it around and relay it back to other people in a way that it makes sense to them, right?
That's so powerful. It reminds me of the five whys. Because as you're peeling back the layers, you really need to focus on that why and not just once. So, to your point, peeling back each layer, really digging deeper into the why, and then transmuting that into more relatable language is powerful. Have you Have you found that that's something that people will connect with the most?
Yes, and I almost have to like borderline on not making them feel like I'm interrogating them. I think that that's like a like a pro and a con of having the ability to ask great questions. Is
Hmm.
sometimes people are like, "Whoa, like I feel like I'm being interviewed right now," right? So I think it's like through the years I've learned to get comfortable with just sitting
Hmm.
and then letting them reciprocate, and then through there I unpack again, right? And I think people appreciate that genuine curiosity because I might not have that same area of expertise, I might not have that same interest, but because they're so passionate about it and they're so well versed in it, and I'm creating the space for them to be heard, and
Hmm.
to allow them to shine, I think that's what people ultimately appreciate, no matter whether they're an extrovert or an introvert. It's the fact that someone's willing to take the time to ask and then actually listen.
That's beautiful. Do you find that people have a hard time holding that space? That when the minute you're holding the space for them, do you find that people have a hard time sitting with it?
Yeah, I think it depends on the person because I think I've heard from some feedback that they're like, it's actually refreshing because I'm usually the person who's in the seat asking questions. So the fact that you basically out asked me plus you out listened me was intriguing and memorable for them, right?
Mm.
Versus others, you are correct where I think I've noticed that discomfort comes from I don't want to be in the spotlight. It's not the fact that you're asking these questions, right? But it's I don't want to be in the spotlight of this conversation, right? So again, I use it as a gauge to kind of understand the depth of questions I want to go into and kind of how broad I want to leave it, depending on their reaction to our conversation.
Mm. Yeah, there's certainly a difference there because what happens, I find, is people, as you're peeling back these layers, many times when they haven't done that before, it's highly uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable to sit with that and really dig deeper into the root of what it is that you're navigating. And so it's interesting to see that shift as you're digging deeper, right? And so experiencing that, witnessing that is that much more powerful
Mhm.
for sure.
And that's a really great call out, and just that I think it's important to have that self awareness also in terms of I think we can feel energy, right? We can read body language. There's a lot of that I think allows us to better understand to what extent do people start opening up as you continue to peel with them and sit
Mm.
with it, versus it's like the moment that they start closing off, leaning back, their answers are short, or their attention seems to kind of be diverted. I think those are the moments where, unless if you're paid to actually coach and or counsel someone, and you're just in a general conversation, that's kind of a good indicator to be like, all right, I'm just going to ease up and then I'm going to make it feel safe again, right?
And there's that word safe, safe. And everything that I've heard about you and as you share your journey, in many ways, it sounds like you had to create that safe environment for yourself.
Yes.
You want to
Yes.
unpack that a little bit?
For sure. I think being an Asian kid growing up in a society where, generally speaking, and like, bless my parents, they never put this pressure on me. But when you're in a school system or a society where it's taught like you always have to get that A, you always have to be achieving, you always have to be good at something that translates into a college or university, which then translates into a certain profession, and never having that clear path for myself and always feeling like am I stupid or something, right? Like or like what am I actually good at that is like translatable? But then through the interactions with people where it was like, oh, like people are like, you should be a recruiter, you should be in sales, you should be in whatever, because like you just have this ability to like have great conversations. I think those were the moments I had to lean into and then further understand it. Again, it's like How do I do it in a way where they're not like, okay, you're talking way too much, you're asking way too much many questions, or like they need a breath because I'm asking so many questions, to then being like, hey, like, okay, like how do I read people better and understand them and genuinely care, or else I will not ask the question. And then I think that allowed me to create the safe space both for myself and the other individuals as we engage in a conversation.
Wow. What was that moment where you realized this?
Yeah, I think it had to do when I was about to be a dentist at one point. So I was going towards like writing my exam, practicing, and then going into the community volunteering, trying to shadow dentists. And this one dentist had said to me, he's like, you know what, when you're done, if you want to come work with me, I'm more than happy to take you under my wing. Seems like you're really bright, hardworking, etc. And just know when you are about to go into that dental board exam, I have connections that may be able to help you depending on the school that you're going at. And I think it was in that moment, combined with another family doctor saying, hey, um, I'm very involved in the community because I understand the benefits of being tied to a politician, a business person, whatever it may be, like having those ties in the communities, taking those two experiences together as I was shadowing, figuring out my next steps. It made me realize that you can only get as far as your network. So I'm like, I don't have to be the most brilliant or talented, well known professional within a specific area, but I have to have the network and the connections to back that, or else I am basically obsolete. And I think from there, I was able to adopt that mentality when I was within the university setting, when I was first going after my first job. And then now, as I embark in a new chapter all over again, is just understanding the power of relationships, connections, and really being there as a how can I help you and be that problem solver for you, but not necessarily just taking whatever it is you have to offer, because it might not be now that I can help you, but the fact that I can understand what it is that you need and who it is that you ultimately want to meet, and then take it down and be intentional as I build up my network, and then one day bring that value back to you, I think is something that is extremely undervalued. But again, it goes back to the fact that I've learned through those two specific incidences that if you don't have a powerful network and a quality network, it's going to be very, very difficult to quote unquote make it or be successful.
Wow, that is such an untapped area of leadership development. A lot of times there's an over focus on technical skills, and then second to that, the real hard skills, right, which are the people skills, but not enough on the networking side of success and leadership. Understanding that you don't need a title to be a leader. And so that's such a powerful experience to have had so early on in your career that carries through no matter what industry you go into. So on that note, I want to know what is that one thing you want to leave our community with today?
I would say find your tribe,
Hmm.
because you never know who it is that's going to be that one person away from that opportunity, whether it's a tangible opportunity in your career or business, or maybe it's an opportunity to learn more about yourself, or it's an opportunity to add value and actually change a life. I think that human connection piece is extremely important as technology continues to evolve, and we may or may not feel more disconnected as a result of the amount of input that is coming in, right? So, yeah, that human connection, build that relationship, find your tribe, because you just never know how it will serve you and serve the other person that you're connecting with.
Wow, Angela. So powerful. So powerful. And it's true. We are, by definition, as powerful as our tribe is. And understanding, I'm sure you've experienced this, that sometimes you need a tribe for different things,
Yes,
especially as we grow into our careers. So I
100%.
appreciate you, and I thank you. You'll receive notes, everyone, on the show notes to Angela's podcast, which is absolutely amazing as she is. You've heard her tips here today. And so check it out and look forward to a next session coming up.
Thanks, Lauren. Thanks, everyone.